Woody left the group 20 years ago. He ain't
How did one of the finest R&B groups go from stacking millions to barely keeping the lights on? Child, let me tell you about Dru Hill, a story of how four brothers from Baltimore.
We're in Druid Hill Park, Baltimore, your hometown. I assume this is where you guys got your name.
Yeah. By Georgia, good answer.
Went from sharing sandwiches to fighting over millions. Back in the early 90s, these Baltimore boys, Cisco, Jazz, Nokio, and Woody, was just some regular teenagers working at the fudgery in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. They'd be making that fudge and harmonizing like their lives depended on it.
I had a minimum wage job, and I think it was the summer after we graduated, and I was working at this place called the Fudgery, and it was, I don't know if y'all know, but it's like this place where you like make fudge and sing songs, which is funny because I'm short, so it's almost like a Keebler elf. We were #1 in the country in Baltimore, so when the regional manager was calling, it was like, man, y'all crushing these numbers. How y'all doing that? And just so happens that myself and Dru Hill was working at the Fudgery, so people would come down and see us sing and then buy fudge. So
that's crazy.
The tourists ate it up.
The manager at the time, they was like, can we send this kid to help other stores? So they sent me to St. Louis, and then they sent me here. So every time I would go to a different fudgery, that fudgery would be the #1 in the country.
That's where Island Black music executives spotted them, and baby, the rest was history. When they dropped that first album in '96, it was straight fire. Tell Me and In My Bed had everybody and their mama two-stepping at the cookout. That self-titled debut went platinum faster than your grandma's sweet potato pie disappears at Thanksgiving. We're talking multi-platinum success, sold-out tours, and them boys was living.
It hurt so bad when I walked.
But hold up, let me tell you what was really going down between them platinum plaques. See, Cisco, with that iconic platinum blonde hair.
What inspired you to do the platinum do, especially being a male?
To be funny, I mean, not to be funny, it wasn't funny. Dyed my hair blonde is because I got my heart broken.
Was getting all the spotlight.
Understanding it was Will Smith featuring Dru Hill. But when we got there, it seemed like it was all in the cards for it to be Will Smith featuring Cisco. Once again, you back to just being here just for the sake of being here. And that was basically my departure.
He started acting brand new, showing up to shows in expensive cars while the other members were carpooling. The money situation got real messy real quick. Cisco was spending money like it was water, says former manager Big Mike Johnson. Custom suits, diamond chains, paying for everybody at the club. Meanwhile, the other members was asking where their publishing checks at. By the time they were recording Enter the Dru in '98, them studio sessions was hotter than fish grease. Cisco wanted more money, more solos, more everything. One day, things got so heated that Nokio and Jazz had to be held back from putting them paws on Cisco right there in the booth. Then the partying started getting out of control. Them boys was living like rock stars, reveals former roadie James Washington, especially Cisco. He was burning through money faster than your uncle's hair grease on a hot summer day. They also had their fair share of lawsuits. Let me tell you about when Dru Hill had to take Sony ATV to court. Back in 2015, them boys had to sue Sony ATV Music Publishing because they wasn't getting their proper publishing coins. Now this was some real missing money drama. We're talking about royalties that should have been hitting their accounts but was mysteriously MIA. The group filed that lawsuit claiming Sony ATV wasn't paying them their rightful mechanical royalties from their hits. Baby, we're talking about money from classics like In My Bed, Never Make a Promise, and other joints that have been making money for years. The lawsuit was asking for that missing bag plus interest, because if you're gonna hold somebody's money, you better believe they want them interest charges too. They lost that lawsuit and lost their royalties, though. Talk about a big mess. Then, what about the time when Kevin Peck came for them Dru Hill boys with that lawsuit? Back in 1999, Peck filed a whopping $30 million lawsuit against the group and Island Records. See, Peck claimed he was the one who discovered them talented boys at the Fudgery in Baltimore's Inner Harbor and helped shape their early career. According to his lawsuit, he had a legitimate management contract with Dru Hill that was supposed to run through 2002. But honey, he said them boys did him dirty by breaking their contract and bouncing to new management. The lawsuit was all about breach of contract and tortious interference. Big fancy legal words meaning Peck felt he got pushed out of what he helped build. He was coming for his coins, claiming he was the mastermind behind getting them signed to Island Records in the first place. By '99, Woody had seen enough. He bounced faster than a bad check, talking about how he needed to focus on his spiritual journey.
They're replacing Woody, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Can we say this right now? Woody
Sure.
asked me this personally. I spoke to Woody for like an hour and some change the other day. He don't want to have anything to do with Dru Hill.
Okay.
He wants us to keep his name, keep our names out of his mouth, all of that.
But word on the street was he was fed up with all the drama and ego trips.
To stop saying that I did my solo project because he left.
And it's the same reason all the way across the board. I left the group because spiritually I felt like that I was being called to not be in the group. Basically, I brought it to the guys multiple times before I actually left to see if there were any things that we could do to resolve the issue or to make me feel any kind of way. But nothing was able, no agreement or anything was able to be reached successfully.
That's when SISQO saw his chance to shine solo.
A lot of the group members felt as if somebody had put like money and resources behind me with my solo project. And I want to clear this up once and for all so everybody knows.
Thong Song dropped in '99.
See that thong.
Once we heard the record, Thong Song, we knew what it was. We knew that people would kind of gravitate to it because it was a good beat. I had this, at the time, this kind of taboo, if you will, content, and it was just like extremely catchy. The outfit that I was wearing, I designed that outfit, so I like drew up the schematics and had that made. I kept the same outfit on, 1, and 2, I specifically wore white because I knew that the song was so risky at the time that I wanted to appear to be the good guy.
And baby,
After that, I came to the label and I was like, we're trying to jam this new version of Dru Hill down their throat, and we got this kind of open window. I want to do a solo album.
This thing right here is letting all the ladies know.
that joint had everybody talking about dumps like a truck. He was on TRL, award shows, everything. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the group tried to keep it pushing by bringing in black and old drama is like putting hot sauce on a paper cut. It just makes everything burn worse.
It started dwindling. As many people weren't coming to see Dru Hill perform, I think it was a direct cause and effect of what happened with Wood.
Black and Smoke could sing, don't get it twisted, but trying to replace that original chemistry was like trying to make Kool-Aid without sugar. It just ain't right. These days, SISQO managed to hold on to some coins. He's worth about $6 million from them Thong Song residuals.
You know, you waited 13 years before dropping an album.
For sure.
Now, is it safe to say that the Thong Song financed that 13-year, time? Would that be a fair assumption?
You can't say that. I mean, well, technically, I didn't have to go to work, if that's what you was asking.
Jazz and Nokio, they're scraping by on a couple $100,000 between them. Woody's keeping it low-key, probably still on that spiritual journey. And Smoke, he's so far under the radar, he might as well be underground. That $40 million fortune they had back in the day, poof, gone like your edges at a swimming pool party. Some went to fancy cars, and a whole lot just disappeared faster than your daddy when the bill collector calling. Today, when folks talk about Dru Hill, they remember them harmonies, them hits, and them high notes. But behind all that talent was a cautionary tale about how success can turn brothers into strangers faster than potato salad turns at a picnic. It wasn't the industry that killed Dru Hill, says veteran music journalist Marcus Johnson. It was them inner demons, ego, greed, and that age-old devil called money. These days, you might catch them.
I'm gonna move into, well, no, I'm doing something else. I'm moving into film and television.
Amazing. That's awesome. All right. That don't mean you gotta stop singing though, I'm just saying.
I still sing with Drew Hill.
Okay, nice.
So for the record, we never broke up.
Doing reunion
Good time, good vibes.
shows at them R&B festivals. Singing them classics that still get the aunties moving. SISQO'S still rocking that platinum hair, but now he's more about that family life than club life. Married to Elizabeth Pham, a Vietnamese entrepreneur, they have 3 children, one from a previous relationship. He's still holding on to that fame, hosting reality shows.
Grammy nominated.
Also, I remember, because, I watch a lot of reality TV. I love it all. And I remember when you were on Gone Country to show that people could sing anything.
I got a golden plaque for that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, what, a golden plaque for Gone Country?
Yeah, at the time, it was the highest rated reality show in country music channel history. So we got a plaque.
Oh, very cool.
And dropping music here and there. That cool $6 million in the bank. Jazz is keeping it real in Baltimore after dealing with a health situation.
Right now, whatever you went through, I'm thankful to God that whatever you went through, that you got through it. And now that you look like you're doing better. Like I said, we don't have to disclose whatever it was you were battling, but I'm glad to see that God brought you whatever you're going, my brother.
You better believe it.
Teaching vocals and sliding through them nostalgia R&B tours. Nokio switched it up and went into real estate, but still pops up for them reunion performances. Trying to keep the Drew Hill name alive.
Drew Hill, we got a brand new song, because back, when we first came out, it was Tell Me What You Want, and now, What You Need. That's the name of the single.
Nokio has 2 sons, Nico with DJ Angie Martinez and Jordan. Black and Tao, they done moved on to other things. And our boy Woody, he went full spiritual.
Reason why I left and came back, why it was the second time, because I know that was kind of confusing for everybody. Why I actually came back and then left again was because when I left to pursue a career in gospel music, and one of the conditions, unbeknownst to the fans, but definitely known to my group members, one of the conditions for me being released from my contract and being allowed to record a gospel album.
Trading them stage lights for church lights and community work. From multi-platinum records to side hustles, these Baltimore boys are still keeping it moving. Just a whole lot quieter than them 90s days. The moral of this story? Success is like hot grease. Handle it wrong and everybody gets burned. Drew Hill had it all. The talent, the looks, the hits. But when that money started flowing, them Baltimore boys forgot what got them there in the first place. Unity. From sharing fudge samples to sharing millions, then back to checking them account balances. The Drew Hill story proves that sometimes your biggest enemies ain't the streets or the industry. Sometimes it's that reflection staring back at you in them platinum plaques. And that's the truth. From multi-platinum to multi-problems, Drew Hill's story is a reminder that when money talks, friendship sometimes walks. And that's the piping hot tea on how Baltimore's finest went from serving hits to serving lessons on what not to do when fame comes knocking. As Big Mike puts it, they could have been the next boys to men. Instead, they became boys who could have been. And ain't that the truth? From fudge making to hit making to heartbreaking. That's the real story of Drew Hill. And if you don't know, now you know. Period. Pooh.